Hello everyone, and welcome to another Pathfinder adventure card game scenario. This is scenario 2.4. We are with the character Drelm over at the crypt. We're at the crypt. The difficulty of checks against the Banes that have the cold or undead trait is increased by 3 plus the scenario adventures deck number. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessing of the Ancients. And Drelm comes across a kovash. Alright, it's strength melee 7 to acquire. Drelm, well, this is a basic weapon, or a basic, yeah, so Drelm isn't too interested in this. D10, so rolls the 8 plus 3, so he does acquire this card, which is pretty cool. But let's see, but like I say, he's not able to trade that to a trader since he's on level 2. That's why he's not interested in it. Looking at Drelm's hand, we are going to discard the kovash because he has he has a lot of good cards. Advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessing of Capri. Doing our exploration, we get crocodile skin armor. Okay, we'll roll for that. Constitution or Fortitude. Drelm has a Constitution of D6. Alright, and we rolled a 3. So we do not acquire that boon. It gets banished. Advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessing of the Ancients, and we come across a Shock Elemental here in the crypt. Okay, so the Shock Elemental is an outsider elemental electricity basic card. So he doesn't have the cold or undead trait. So it's just a straight up combat 9. So he's immune to electricity, mental, and poison traits. All damage dealt is electricity damage. So if you play a weapon that does not have the bludgeoning trait, the difficulty to defeat is increased by 2. Okay, so he's going to be an 11 of defeat. I'm just going to go ahead and excuse me. I'm just going to reveal the Spirit of the Watchful Guardian. Strength melee plus 1d6 plus 1. So we'll go ahead and do that. I think that's going to be enough to defeat this. So it's going to be D10, similar to my dice. D10, a D6 plus 1 plus Drelm's melee of plus 4. So we have a plus 5 modifier here. And we only need an 11. So I think the odds are pretty good. Alright, so roll a 7 and a 3. So we have a total of 10 plus our modifier of 5 is 15. So more than enough. So that means that the Shock Elemental has been banished, and looking at Drelm's hand, he can actually now play the Speak with the Dead spell, or Speak with the Dead spell, which is going to give him an additional die when he rolls Intelligence or Wisdom checks. So, pretty excited to have that spell for sure. Alright, looking at Drelm's hand, he'll have to reset his hand, gets a new armor. Advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Blessing of Wajet. Okay, and here we go. We get the villain. Well, he's the henchman, but technically he's the villain for this scenario. Alright, so let's see. He Undead Skeleton Aristocrat. So checks to defeat him are going to be increased by 3 plus the adventure deck scenario number, which is 2. So plus 5 modifier on all of his checks. Wow. So he's immune to cold, mental, and poison traits. During the encounter, recharge a card before you play a card. Ouch. If the check to defeat has a piercing or slashing trait, the difficulty is increased by 1d6. Okay, so let's see what we got here. So we have to do a Wisdom, Charisma, or Diplomacy. So, the nice thing, so we can play Hand of the Honest Man to add a d6 to our Diplomacy check. But then when we play this card, we're going to have to bury a card. And I don't really want to do that. Drelm only has 5 cards. So we're going to make this, let's see, a Wisdom check. And we can use the Speak with the Dead, which is going to give us an extra. So Drelm's Wisdom, oh yeah, Wisdom is much better. Because Wisdom is a D8. And with Speak with the Dead, he's going to get another D8. And then we will use a Blessing of Methis. We're going to discard that. But before we use that card, we have to discard a card. So we'll go ahead and we will discard Hand of the Honest Man, or recharge it. Okay, so we're rolling 3d8. 3d8 on this check. And we need to get a total of 9, 10, 9, 10. We need to get 14. Alright, let's see what we get. So we get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And let's see. Drelm does have a wisdom buff of +1. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But we needed 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, 9, 10. We needed 14. We rolled a total of 13. Ouch. That really hurts. Okay. Well, as it is, that means that's... So we failed that check by 1. I don't know if... let's see. Check to defeat. I don't know if we take damage from that. I guess maybe we do. It's because this is a combat check. So even though you fail one check in Pathfinder in your card game, you still have to do the other check. So I'm not sure if I have to take damage on that or not. I'll just go ahead for this, and I'll just say I don't have to, but I still have to do the combat check. So the combat 13, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the embalming fluid. So I'm going to reveal this card and add 2 in the poison trait to your combat check. If the Bane has the undead trait, ignore its immunities after this check. Okay, so we're going to reveal that card, but that means that we're going to have to, since it's old one tiger, we have to recharge a card. We'll recharge the armor, and then what we're going to do is we will, man, this is going to be rough. We got Spear of the Watchful Guardian, but since it has the piercing trait, we have to roll a d6 and increase his difficulty. Wow, his difficulty is increased by 5. So this combat check, we have to do a total of 10. Wow, get a load of that. 23 points. Ouch. Well, we are adding 2 for the embalming fluid. We are going to recharge and potentially discard the Spear of the Watchful Guardian. So we get to roll d6, d10, 2d6. Our melee and the Spear of the Watchful Guardian buff is +5. The embalming fluid is +7. So we get to add 7 to this roll. So we're adding 7 to this roll. Alright, so we rolled a 9, 10, 15, and 7 is 22, but we needed a 23. Wow. Man, that's brutal. So, we have the option of the Spear of the Watchful Guardian to discard the card to re-roll the dice. But we don't need to. We're not going to do that because we failed the first check. So unfortunately, as it is, we're going to take a point of damage, so we have to lose our embalming fluid. Wow, that is rough. Okay. Well, old one eye taker, he survived. So he's going back into the location deck. Drelm has lost all of his cards due to damage, so he'll have to reset his hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 cards in the location deck. I'll roll a d8 to see which card is on top. The 7th card is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, resetting Drelm's hand. So let's see what he gets here. Alright. Hand is reset. Advancing the Blessings deck. It's a Blessing of Methis. And we get a Blessing of the Ancients. What's cool about this card is that it's an auto-acquire. So Drelm automatically acquires this card. And looking at his hand, in his hand he has this Glacial Kovash, but it has the cold trait, and the villain is immune to the cold trait. You know what else is hilarious is that Drelm also has the Death Grip card in his hand, but that it also has the cold trait. So he has all these cards that the villain is immune to. So resetting Drelm's hand, we'll just toss the Death Grip spell for now. Okay, advancing the Blessings deck, it's a Curse of Daybane. So Drelm now has the Curse of Daybane. He can't explore unless the top card of the Blessings deck is a non-basic spell, or non-basic blessing. And fortunately we have a Blessing of Methis there. So he can do a free exploration this turn. Okay, he gets the evil eye. So it's a trigger, curse, arcane veteran. So we don't have to worry about the crypt effect going off. Let's see what we're going to do here. When you examine this card, we did not examine the card. The difficulty to defeat is increased by twice the adventure scenario's adventure deck number. So that's going to be +4. So we need to have strength or a stealth. Stealth, knowledge, arcane, divine, diplomacy. Well, Drelm's divine is D8 +3. We will go ahead and use that Blessing of the Ancients card that we acquired. Make that 2d8 and adding 3 to the roll. Alright, let's see what we get. So now we rolled a 3 and a 4. So 3, 4, and 5. And we needed a total of 10. Wow, so we totally... This was our divine. Yeah, speak with the dead wouldn't have helped out. Okay, so... Oops, excuse me. So, alright, let's get back to where we were. So, it says here, if undefeated, suffer a scourge. Okay, the scourge die in level 2 is a d6. So we rolled a 3. So that means that we have to gain the curse of poisoning. Wow, that is brutal. So gaining the curse of poisoning. So now we're going to reset Drelm's hand. He's going to toss that glacial kovash. I don't think it's really going to help him out. And now rolling for a curse of poisoning to see which card we have to discard. So we have to discard or recharge a Blessing of Pharasma. Okay, so doing that. So advancing the Blessings deck, we're going to explore. Okay, we get Old One-Eye Taker. But technically, before we explored, we were going to play Sands of Time spell. The reason being is that I don't think there was a timing conflict there, but this is going to allow us to add 1 die to our checks by characters at this location against Banes that have the Construct or Undead trait. So, kind of excited to have that spell, because here we are. We're dealing with Old One-Eye Taker, and we only have 3 cards in our hand. Ouch. So, what's nice is that for the first check, first of all, his buff is a +5, right? Fell on the floor. Let me get another die here. Okay, so there's a +5 modifier on this guy. So we have to do a Wisdom, Charisma, Diplomacy 14 check. So we're going to do Wisdom. We get to add Drelm's Wisdom is D8 +1. Thanks to Speak with the Dead, we get an additional D8. And thanks to Sands of Time, we got another D8. And the nice thing about that is that we didn't even have to use a card. So we don't have to recharge any cards. Okay. And that's why, I guess that's why it was a timing issue. I wanted to use Sands of Time right away, because that way I don't have to use this when you play a card, recharge a card. So I was going to do that before I explored. Okay, 3d8, let's see what we get. Adding 1 to this roll. So we get 8, and 8 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Sweet. Okay, so we made the first check. Now for the second check. Once again, well, this is a combat check. We need combat 18. Drelm doesn't have any weapons in his hand or any combat buffs. The Speak with the Dead spell will not help out here, but the Sands of Time spell will. So it's going to be a straight up melee check. So Drelm's melee is D10. Thanks to Sands of Time, it's another D10. And Drelm's melee buff is +4. So we need 18. We're rolling 2d10 and adding 4 to the roll. All right, let's see what happens. All right, so we rolled 10 and a 2. So that's a total of 12 +4 is 16, and we needed an 18. So 10, 12 +4. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16, we needed an 18. So we failed, but we got our buddy, the Cleric of Methis, who says we can add or subtract 2 from the roll. But before we do that, we need to use Old Eye Taker's disadvantage of recharging a card. So we'll recharge the armor. We will use the Cleric of Methis to add 2 to the roll. And thus we have defeated Old Eye Taker. He's banished, the location is closed, and that, let's go ahead and zoom out here. That was an amazing scenario. Really cool. I mean, whew, this is probably one of my favorite henchman villains. So it's thanks to these two spells that really helped out Drelm. Alright, let's go ahead and do a deck check for Drelm. As you may know, he really didn't acquire a lot of interesting boons that adventure. So here's his spells. The Cleric of Methis. I think this guy's pretty neat. He's helped Drelm win that scenario for sure. So Drelm will remember that. So this is the state of Drelm's deck. Let's see what he's got here. Okay, so that's everything he's got deck-wise. So let's see what we're going to do now. First thing, the reward for the scenario was a card feat. Okay, so this is Drelm's. That's his card list. Let's go ahead and zoom in there. So, what we did, we gave him an armor and an ally buff. So right now he can have 3 weapons, 3 spells, 3 armors, 2 allies. So I think I'm gonna spend some time buffing up his item and his blessing. So first off, we're gonna go ahead and do the item. There's plenty of interesting items he can acquire. He just really doesn't have much of a selection. He probably should have done that earlier, because early on there are a lot of interesting items. So he did get the card feat, and now Drelm is going to go ahead and go visit a trader. But is he going to visit a trader? The thing is that he wants to keep both of these. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. Oops, technical difficulties. The thing about meeting a trader is that sure, I mean, he wants to keep those items, so he's not going to go get items. He wants to keep all these spells. These spells have been great. Doesn't want to trade any of them. That blessing goes there. So he could. He's got 2 armors he could trade. Then he can go back to. But he wants to keep that armor. That armor is the best. So it's a really hard decision for Drelm whether he wants to go to a trader. I mean, he's got 2 weapons. He might want to trade that glacial kovash. The more I see it, it's got the cold trait. I don't really think that's very beneficial. So we are going to do it. We are going to go to Falsing Deek, and we're looking for items. So that's what we're going to do. So taking the item deck, shuffling it up, and let's go ahead and let's see what we're going to do here. Die 6. Okay, so we're looking for items of level 1 or 2. So we get a magic carpet, the helpful haversack, and the scroll of Thoth. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm pretty impressed. I really think that Drelm wants that helpful haversack. The reason why: at the start of your turn, reveal this card to examine the top card of your deck. You may additionally discard this card to add the examined card to your hand. Otherwise, put the examined card on the top or bottom of your deck. So wow, I like that. At the start of your turn, reveal this card to examine the top card of your deck. You may additionally discard this card to add the examined card to your hand. Otherwise, put the examined card on the top or bottom of your deck. I mean, that's pretty cool. Scroll of Thoth. Let's see. Recharge this card to add 1 die to your Wisdom non-combat check. Recharge this card to add 1 die to your check against a Bane that invokes the cold trait. Recharge this card. I mean, that's pretty cool. Let's see. A non-combat check. Magic Carpet. Recharge this card to evade a Bane that has the trigger trait. Then move all characters at this location to another location. But when I play my scenario, it's just you would just move back to the same scenario or adventure location since there's only 1 location. Let's see. So helpful haversack. I think Drelm wants it. So he's going to trade the glacial kovash And he's going to trade, let's see, what's he going to trade? He's going to trade this crocodile skin armor. So he's going to give Falsing Deek these two items, which are level 1 and 2, in order to gain the Helpful Haversack. So that means that, scrolling back out again, oops, technical difficulties. So he gained the Helpful Haversack. He can keep it because he has 3 item slots. But now I need to get himself a basic armor so that his deck is legit. Alright, well, that's the end of that scenario. Really challenging, exciting scenario, pretty difficult, but Drelm has acquired all these cool boons over his adventures, which allowed him to defeat that villain. So yeah, really excited, great adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll have another adventure card game scenario up shortly. Alright, thank you.